All right. Hey guys. Today we're going to create and define our own patterns, as well as finding patterns online and using those patterns in our own work. All right. First, we'll look at an example of patterns. Patterns we all know from various walks in our life, such as seeing it on clothes, seeing it on walls, and things like that. Patterns are usually a reoccurring image or shape that continues infinitely. So, for example, a bunch of dots or a bunch of lines, a striped piece of clothing, or a suit. All right. Right now, I'll create a shape. So let's say a regular rectangle like this. You can see right here there's a white fill, or actually there's no fill, and a stroke. So as usual for your fill, you can either have no fill, a solid color, so any color you like, right, like this, a gradient, something like this, right, and the pattern. So over here you can see many different patterns. This is a stripe pattern, it's a dot pattern. I'll scale it up so you can see it more. All right, so you can use the scale here to increase the size. So here you have stripes, more stripes or dashed, and there are also some other ones you can use. All right, and we have created some custom ones in the past. This will just be an upgraded lesson for it. All right, so how can we make our own pattern so we can fill in a layer with that pattern? Well, first, we'll go and create a new file, and I'm going to go with 200 by 200. It is important to notice that this is in pixels. All right, if you have this in inches or something, some other measurement, this file could be incredibly huge and your computer would be very, very slow. So go 200 by 200 pixels, and I'm going to use a 32-bit spectrum of colors. All right, now here's my piece. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So to create our own patterns, you can use any type of pattern you like. You can find pictures online and post them in here, or draw a picture. For now, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go to my shape. I'm going to select Custom Shape Tool right here. And with Custom Shape, if you remember, there are many different shapes we can use. All right, so for now, I'll just use this paw and I'll draw it out. All right, first, I'm going to change the color of my paw to maybe, let's do this. It'll be a blue paw. All right, so I'm just going to draw it out. I'm going to make it a little big. And I'm holding square just so it'll keep its shape. I want this to be right in center, so I'll just make sure both of these purple lines are there. All right, now I have this pattern, but I don't want the stroke, so I'm going to remove the stroke. So I'm clicking on this stroke, no fill. Then I go to the fill, and I choose this blue, since that's the original thing I wanted. All right, so now I have my paw. Next, you will go edit up here, edit in the menu bar, define pattern right here. Now you have the sample image of your pattern here and the name. Choose whatever name you like. I'm just going to name it Blue Paw. Click OK. And now you have a pattern. For example, if I go here and I have I'm back on here, I can go here, select the pattern, right? So here, now you'll see the blue paw made. Using scale, I can make it a lot of them. You know, this is the point where there's so small that they're just invisible. I can make it really big, right? So that's the use of patterns. Now, the next thing I want to show you is if you want to get some custom patterns. Now, one that I really like are these Japanese patterns that you can find on this website, freepik.com. This site has a lot of different patterns and things you can use. There's a lot of paid ones. This area here, these are all very nice, but they're not with Freepik. They're with Shutterstock right here, Shutterstock. And this costs money. You have to pay a subscription just to buy them, and they're pretty expensive. So anyways, I go with these ones, and I usually go for free ones. So some of them you'll see this crown. That means you have to pay for them, usually. But here, there's a pattern that looks pretty nice over here. All right, so let's just say I want to go with this. I can go select it, or maybe press the download button there, and I'll go to free download. So I downloaded this before, but I just want to show you the process. Here you can just click free download. So if you will use this for your own personal website, or if you're advertising this and trying to make money off using this pattern, you definitely want to credit the author who made this just to pay respects to them. And you know, I don't know if they're going to give you problems if you make money off of their work. So that's why I would say send them some credit. All right, as we can see, there's some more free cool vectors we can look at. But anyways, my thing is downloading. So here we go. I open it up by clicking on it. The main file we are interested in is this AI file. All right, it is an After Effects file, and it's what we'll be using. So I'm going to extract it into here. All right, it's just this file. And just so you know that it's the file I'm working with, I'm going to rename it to Gold Jap Pattern. All right. So now I'm going to open this up. First, I'm going to close this. All right. So now you can see that this is open in Illustrator, and you can see our patterns here. Now it's very tricky to use these patterns over in Photoshop. The reason why is because you cannot easily transfer these patterns over to Photoshop. You kind of have to make your pattern yourself. So what I do is I choose the direct selection tool, which is this one right here, and I choose the pattern I'm interested in. So let's say today we want to work with this one. All right, let's say I'm interested in this one. One thing I'll do first is I'll try and check the size of it. So now that this is selected, I'll go over to selection tool, and I'll hover around here, and if I press shift, you'll see it's width 200 by 400 height. All right, so we have that. Now I'll copy it by pressing Control C. So it's copied. Now I go here and I'll create a new file based on those measurements. So I'll make it 200 by 400. All right, nice. So now I have our 200 by 400, and I paste, right? Control V, paste. Now I'm gonna paste this as a smart object, just so we can keep our layers and stuff. And it looks like it pasted in perfectly, which is nice. Now the next problem, I'm not sure if you guys can notice it, but I'm gonna zoom in here just so you can see, is where this ends, it doesn't continue on here properly. So this is where it gets tricky. We had to figure it out ourselves how to make this match. So I use the transform tool, Control T for those who don't remember. And now I'll just change the pattern. So one good tip is that I drag it from down here, so this corner will stay still, and I can kind of measure and see the difference between these two sides, and that will give me a better indicator of when I found a good point to stop stretching. Okay, so right around here, I'll say this is a good estimation. No, maybe more around here, something like this, yeah. And the reason I'm choosing this spot is I kind of looked here to see this area. So it looks like this needs to be filled in, and this looks like a good balance over here. So I imagine this will give us a pretty good indicator of what our pattern should look like when everything's together. All right, so now let's test it out and see. Now that we have this, I can go to Edit, Define Pattern. All right, so now let's name this Black with Gold Flowers. Okay, that's my new pattern. Now let's go here and let's try that on this piece of square. So you can go here and go back to the shape tool. So if you're losing it, because before I was on the zoom tool, so you see that your options bar was not showing the fill area. And you can also do that over here, but I believe it's this one, or adjustments, one of these. I don't use those too often since I like to use the bar up here. So I go up here, fill, and I'll go back to the pattern, which is over here. And we'll see the gold one we just made. So I click that, and look at that. We got it. So I'm just gonna go and stretch it out a little bit. And yeah, now we have this new pattern. All right, so that is how we can make some custom patterns with our work. Okay, and just another thing I want to show you. So quickly here, if you remember adjustment layers, we have these. So you can make a new adjustment layer that's actually just a pattern, right? So I can make a new adjustment pattern, and here I'll just make a new layer that covers the entire area. And you can choose your pattern. So I have this one that I made. There's this, and I've made some other ones in the past, like for example this one, and things like that. This one I tried. It's a little tricky. You can see the lines here kind of didn't work properly. So for some of the patterns you find, you will have to find a way to make it work properly. Anyways, so we're working with this, and I can just scale it however I like, and boom, nice. Now I have my new pattern. All right, and I can edit the way I like. For example, because I have this mask here, I can just switch to my brush tool. Oh crap. And I want to change the size, sorry. So go back to my brush, change the size of this, and I want to make sure that I'm on black. So I'm going to press X to change the colors, and I'll just go like this, draw it in. Oh gosh, this guy's still here. Bye, because this video is done.